Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Select Persons meeting for Monday, May 19th. We are in person and hybrid. Our agenda this evening is the call to order and pledge of allegiance, recognition for visitors for items not on the agenda. Tonight's agenda is under reports. We have manager, financial, and department reports. Under new business, we have a wheel loader RFP results. We have a student presentation on the Poland flag. And we have a tax-acquired property sale, payables, and any other business. We could do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'd actually like to, if we can, move down the agenda to the wheeled loader RFP. We've got our Public Works Director here. Should be pretty quick to do.
The wheel loader bids were opened in the town office conference room on May 1st at 11 a.m. by myself and the Public Works Director. 4 bids were received. One from Frank Martin and Sons, which is a Hitachi model for $213,957. From Milton Cat for $255,000. United Construction and Forestry, which is a John Deere machine, $230,726. And Anderson Equipment, which is a Komatsu, $235,811. I recommend award. Awarded the wheel loader bid to Frank Martin and Sons for $213,957.
I'll entertain a motion and then we can have a discussion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Frank Martin and Sons in the amount of $213,957.
I hear a second.
I second that.
Thank you. Discussion.
Well, I'm going to presume that's brand new.
Yes, it is brand new.
Okay.
And so we pushed the decision off for a couple of weeks to give Adam a chance to do some due diligence, which he has done. And I don't know if you want to just give a quick sketch for what you did.
Yeah, I went and drove all of them. Before we opened the bids, Caterpillar was, really my horse in the race. We've had excellent luck with our previous Caterpillar machines, but there's a big price difference there. And I went and checked out all the other ones and really like that Hitachi, and it uses a 6.7 Cummins engine and emission system, which seems to be, that's where most of the problems come from, is the after treatment of emissions, and that's a very common, proven motor and emissions. So I think we should save the money and go with the Hitachi.
Just out of curiosity, I've never thought of asking this before. On something like this, because I know if I'm going out to look for something, I'll look at a Consumer Reports and see reviews and stuff. Is there such a thing as doing that for the type of equipment that you're buying?
There is, but it's subject. I mean, I really doubt that there's anybody that's truly unbiased. I really think you got to do your own research and try it.
So you look at like Coyote and
I
they're
didn't-
not as heavy duty though, right?
Yeah,
That's
and
more,
because we keep them so long, because this will be a 30-year machine. We keep it at Public Works 15 years, and it goes to the transfer station 15 years.
oh, that's right. Right.
So I really only invited dealers that support their 30-year-old machines
Right.
now. I mean, everybody says, oh yes, we will be there, but when you look at how they're supporting machines that they have now from the early 2000s, they either are or they aren't.
Yeah.
And the 4 or 5 that we got bids from are pretty decent about their parts and service support.
That includes a service contract too as
Yeah,
well?
it's a 7-year warranty.
Yeah.
Not the maintenance of
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
yeah.
What are these folks out of?
So Frank Martin and Sons is out of Skowhegan, it's just the other side of Skowhegan.
Madison.
And then they've got a couple other stores further up north. They have one of their techs lives in Sabattis, and he's road service. But most of the repairs you're gonna have done, unless it's something really major, are done at your shop for warranty stuff. So that guy would come from Sabattis, and we'd pay. If it wasn't under warranty, we'd pay time and mileage from Sabattis to here. So it would be.
Thank you.
Yeah, how much work is that actually gonna get though? It's not gonna, how much do you use it actually?
As far as how much.
As far as, they go by miles, but in something like that with the equipment, what's the usage on that?
So the one we have now, I think has about 8,000 hours in
Okay.
15 years. At the transfer station, they get more hours, but kind of lighter work.
Yeah.
That one has a little over 20,000 hours. at this
Really,
point.
lighter work up there, really?
Yeah, because it's not really, at the Public Works, it's loading gravel and
Yeah,
sand.
yeah, yeah.
Up there, it's just kind of pushing the brush back and plowing some snow and
Yeah,
maybe lugging the wood debris back to the pile.
pushing it, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Well, nice job doing your diligence.
So refresh my memory, how is this funded? Is this coming out of the CIP?
Comes out of a CIP, and there's $236,745 in that particular line item.
I assume that it was planned for.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah, this is a good news story. We've got, that amount is right in the middle of all the bids, so we saved the correct amount.
That's great. Good news.
Any other questions or
No,
comments?
no, good job.
Thank you, Adam.
We can vote.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tettenman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marion Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elby.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved awarding the wheeled loader bid to Frank and Martin Sons for $213,957.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks, Adam. I'd like to move on to our student presentation and welcome them up to the thing. Just, the whole room is microphone and camera, so it doesn't really matter where you are technically, but it's always nice to have you closer.
Could I just kind of jump in and introduce Liam, and then he'll take the reins. So Liam has been my student for quite a few years, from elementary up through middle school, presently in the 8th grade, and he has always had a passion for geography. He knows the world globe like no other student I've ever known, and he has had this passion for maps, haven't you? You've explored quite a few, and discovered that Poland does not have a map. So, flag, what am I saying, map? I'm sorry, flag. So, on that note, Liam, if you could tell them about your research. Do you mind if I take a picture while you're presenting? Is that okay with all of you? Okay, thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. As she said, I've always had an interest in flags, world flags, and I based many iterations of the flag that I have now off of world flags. And this is the flag that I decided on. The name of the design is Polish Nature. It says it on the slideshow up there. And I think we should just get started with the slideshow.
Sure, so each of the slide kind of breaks down the
Yeah.
symbolism. Mhm.
Okay, so ready to advance it, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, the waves, this part here, it represents our major export, like the thing that we're famous for is water. I think that you'll all agree that we're famous for water.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a big part of our community, and I think that it should be reflected in our flag.
Awesome, great.
Next slide. So our town is named after a song, which is named after the country of Poland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
How did you
it's,
find that out?
History.
Well, it says on the town website that's named after the song Poland, so if you,
Oh, I did not know that.
All right, let's switch seats with her.
and then if you look into the, Poland is a hymn. And if you look into it, it's named after the country, I guess at that time it was just the land of Poland.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
So, I'm curious about the song.
Well, we'll
You
have to
can't
look
sing
at-
it for us.
We'll have to look at the website. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Look
yeah, I'm
up the
curious
song.
about that part.
It was
Okay.
really hard to find the song. I found sheet music one day, but I don't remember the website.
Really? All right.
The map and star, this part, that is to show like where we are and like who we are. And it shows what state we're in. And the gold star is where our town is. Why should we have a flag? We should have a flag because it fosters a sense of community. It represents our town and gives us a separate town identity from other towns. Next slide. Why should we have this flag? We should have this flag because it stands out. If you look at those two flags on the right, though Lewiston and Wiscasset, they just put their seals on a color. Has meaningful symbolism. If you look at the green square, that was the flag of Libya for a long time. And it isn't anymore because it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
And it isn't complicated, meaning that if you see this, like the American flag, that flag isn't waving, but you know what flag it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you saw the Wiscasset flag draped down, it's just gonna look like red with a little bit of white. You're not gonna know what that is. So again, thank you.
Thank you.
And I wanna give special thanks to Mr. Garside for making this possible.
You're welcome, it's good to see you again, Liam. It's
Absolutely.
a great presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Really appreciate you coming in. I think
Yeah, I
it's
love
I love it.
the research
I
that you
do.
put into it, and it's a lot of like thought that went behind this. Thank you.
Yeah.
What can we do about this?
Yeah.
What would it take to adopt a flag like this
I don't know.
for our town?
I don't know if there's special procedures out there or not. In any of your research, did you find any procedures?
I haven't looked into the procedures of adopting a flag,
Right,
but
it's something we can look into
Yeah.
and see what the procedures would be and stuff, and then get
Yeah.
back to you guys on that.
How did
Absolutely.
you come to find that Poland didn't have a flag? I mean, I understand that you're very interested in flags, but how did you find out specifically that we didn't have one?
well, there's a website that's dedicated to cataloging like every flag ever.
Okay.
And if you go to the municipalities of Maine, it shows which ones have a flag and which ones don't.
Okay.
Okay.
And Poland does not have a flag.
Okay.
Only around like, not many municipalities in Poland have a flag.
Okay.
Only some do, but I think that we would be extra special if we had a flag like this. Because of the flags that are already there, they're mostly just those.
Right.
I mean, there's a few unique ones. I can't remember. There was what was it? I can't remember now. But there was a few unique ones. But only like half of the municipalities have a flag, and only like a few have like a unique one
Okay.
that isn't just their seal.
Okay, so about half do and only, okay, great.
I have one
Because that was
more
gonna be my question, is if you knew roughly how many, I forget how many hundreds of municipalities or whatever exist in the state, but I was just kinda curious, and,
It's fun.
you know,
They have slogans, right? That's about like what's gray, the heart of it all, right? Or, right? You ever see
yeah,
them
and,
come up the highway, but
and
they don't have a
you've seen
flag?
and I've seen the seals, but to be honest, I don't know, maybe I've seen that Lewiston one just because you put it, and it's there and on your slide. Maybe I've seen that at some point in time, but to be honest, I don't have any great memory of town or city flags, per se, so, oh, that's great.
I just have one quick question for you, Liam. So the white and the red, is that symbolic of the country Poland? Like, where does the white and the red come from?
Well,
Are you talking the red and white?
Yeah, the white and the
Okay.
red stripe, sort of.
Yeah,
well, it comes from just the name of our town. And is there a Polish community? I've seen a lot of people with Polish names. Have you
There-
noticed that?
There was a Polish community in the Lewiston Auburn area, I'm not sure where else in the state. I don't know how big it was, but I know 100 years ago when I was in high school, that there was a Polish community there,
Yeah, how many years ago was that?
about 100.
Yeah. So when I look at this, it goes along with what you said in your closing. It fosters a sense of community, represents our town, gives us a separate identity, and it's patriotic, red, white, and blue. That's how I see it, so excellent.
Yep.
I love it.
And that flag does the white and red does represent the flag of Poland.
Yeah.
So,
the country of.
yep, the country.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's neat.
We should take this to other towns.
Would you be willing
No,
to
this
do
is
a
our
little
line.
research to see what's involved and whether we need state permission or whatever to get
How
a
to
flag?
adopt a flag.
To
Yeah.
adopt a flag?
Like, could a select board say, yes, we want this flag, or would it have to go to a referendum for the townspeople to vote on it?
I mean,
Good question to research.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Does that go along with whatever your lesson plan is that you're working on, or?
So students for the end of the year are doing passion projects in
Okay.
middle school.
Okay.
And it's very similar to the senior celebration, in which students choose something that they're really interested in and develop a project around that.
Okay.
So, yes, so I think that would be a perfect question for you to research. Yeah.
And I've never known, other than the history of my family being from Italy, so I know about the meaning there in the United States, but I've never known how to adopt a flag or
Yeah.
have a flag. So that's pretty cool. That's awesome, actually. I think I'd say yes right now. So,
So
but
little did you know you were gonna go home with homework. I'm so sorry.
yeah,
it's fine, I'd like to figure that out.
Awesome.
that's awesome.
Maybe
Yeah,
you
it's
could-
Thank
great.
you so
Maybe you could
much
do
for the
that.
time and effort that you've put into this. It's very, very well done.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Elle, for introducing us to Liam.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
and thank you all for being such a wonderful supportive audience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe you could find that out and come back, whether at the next
Absolutely.
meeting or
Yeah.
so we meet the first.
Whenever you have the answer.
When you get an answer.
The board meets year round, so.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't get a summer vacation.
Along
Could very
with the
well
song.
be.
All right, thank you
All
guys.
right,
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Liam.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Nice job, Liam.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
You wanna take your?
You wanna take your, or you-
Yeah, or you guys can keep it if you want.
Cool.
that's perfect.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Someone's umbrella is under the chair.
It is mine.
Oh, perfect.
She must be a
I'm glad you
teacher.
brought that, now it's not gonna rain.
You see, I did that on purpose.
Thank you.
That was great.
Bye.
Good night.
We should start our meetings off like that. Enjoy it.
And
All
Elle,
right.
Elle is such just wonderful, all the work that she does.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's move back to page 2 for manager report, Matt.
Manager report for 19 May, the Auburn Lewiston Airport, we met twice, approved the budget, removed a MOU with Auburn for administrative support, and authorized the airport manager to move forward with several real estate and construction projects. CMP, I attended a municipal information day. They gave updates on automation, tree cutting, and resiliency. Most of those improvements in starting in areas with a large population density, southern Maine and along the coast, as you might expect. LA Economic Growth Committee Went to that, reviewed the loan pool status. Poland businesses are not eligible for those loans, but, we received an update on several ongoing programs and considered recruiting some new members. MMA Legislative Policy Committee reviewed more bills, and the common theme in the MMA position is to retain home rule rights. Transfer station project, we had the initial meeting with the contractor and engineer, first pre-construction meeting. Work is likely to start mid-July at the earliest, but that's dependent on when the middle building will be ready. The plan now is to keep at least one compactor in operation throughout construction, and as we get closer to that project starting, we'll have more information. Pending any questions, that concludes the manager's report.
I do have a question. Out of curiosity, Matt?
Yeah.
How does CMP determine, I'm gonna word this right. So I see them cutting trees, trimming, right, away from wires, but yet I still see a lot of trees right next to wires. So what's the determination on what trees they cut and what trees they don't?
I think they've got a schedule to get around. They have the president of CMP gave us a really nice talk. And they base it on really where their crews are. Last time they visited that particular location, and they're implementing a plan for where they cut trees called ground to sky. Instead of just trimming branches, they want it all the way up and back, so it goes from the ground to the sky, and they think that's going to have a better long-term impact on reliability.
Yeah.
They're clearly trying hard to improve their power delivery product, and their automation effort includes switches that are strategically located throughout a particular section of the grid, so that if something happens, they can isolate that, but then very quickly bring power back to as much of the grid as can support that power, which I thought was really great. They've done it a couple of times already, and they're expanding that, installing those switches throughout their grid.
I just have a question for the common theme and MMA position to retain the home rule rights. Is there some concern or discussion that the state might be trying to get their fingers into our local governments, or?
Augusta knows better than you do is the common theme for a lot of these things, where they will want to usurp, particularly when it comes to housing, what we might have in our land use code, and have it be a mandated event or mandated by the state, which is not really fair, because it might, that type of thing might work good for a large municipality like Portland, but not so good for a town like Poland. And, our land use code is curated every year. We're modifying it, we've got amendments to it, we're responsive. So to have somebody up in Augusta thinking that they know how the residents of Poland would like to manage their town land is a bit frustrating. But it's not just me that feels that way, it's pretty broad
Sure.
among the other folks on the committee.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, let's move on to finances, please.
Okay, we're 90.38% through the year. Just point out on the revenue page, the motor vehicle excise is at 98.29. That's a good news story. That's our biggest source of non-tax revenue. I'm just going to brief off the expense summary sheet, because we're in great shape. Getting toward the end of the year, we've got 2 more reporting periods with the board here, but everything is on track. You'll see a couple of ones are a little bit higher. Public safety at 91.45, but what's driving that? That's the, the law enforcement contract, because we've just about paid that whole thing out. And then financial services at 92.9, what drives that is the school. It's just such a large payment see ball field maintenance, we spent a little over budget there, but the reason we spent that is because this is when we do the ball field maintenance. And as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for rain, I think we'd be having games this week. But we're in good shape heading into the last real month of our fiscal year, and pending any questions, that's the finance report.
Can I entertain a motion, please?
I make a motion that we accept the financials as presented.
Second?
Second?
Thank you. Matt, I got a kind of a combination question. In the revenues, we have solid waste service fees. I'm assuming, and that's 4270. I'm assuming a lot of that is the fees that you pay when you bring something that costs a fee. On the expenses, I just happen to be looking at that thing. On the expenses, where does that kind of offset itself? In other words, that's really, if that's the revenue source, when you go to bring a mattress, you pay a fee, when you
That
off
would
a
be,
TV, it's a fee, you know.
yeah, that's OBW, and that would be in the, I think we combined that in the MSW
Okay.
line. That's-
So it's in there, okay.
Yeah, that's where it
Okay.
is.
So it's kind of hard to see if we're, actually, I know we set our fees based upon what it really costs us, but I just wanted to see that. If I
Well,
could see, if I could see that financially here, and you really.
Yeah, and it's not broken down that level of detail.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? No, we can vote.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tatman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marion Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Elby.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, you have approved the financial reports as presented.
So just to highlight, I'm sorry, to highlight that point, that is, we're at 140% for those fees, so it's like, you know, it's just curious that's a pretty significant difference, and it's, what, $33,000 instead of, I think we planned 24 or whatever, so it was just interesting and stood out to me. Okay, next on our agenda is our department reports. Matt or Nikki, is there anything that you
No,
folks
pretty
wish to
pretty
highlight?
standard there. Everybody's pulling pretty hard. The Camp Connor is going to be opening up here not too long, and that's in addition to everything else, that's what the recreation department is focusing on.
The only thing I want to make note is a lot of people don't think our ASO officers are out patrolling the roads enough. And in their monthly report, they did 115 vehicle stops this past month. So they're out there on the roads. You may just not see them when they're doing it, but they are out there patrolling our roads.
I have a couple coworkers that have gotten pulled over in Poland on their way to Stevens, so yes, they're out there.
One of the things I just mentioned is the other day, apparently there was a bad accident down the corner of 122 and
Carpenter Road.
26. And I understand that somebody ran a light, the guy thought it was green instead of red or whatever. Fortunately, nobody got hurt, but I happened to be coming down this way, and there was a sheriff's car and ambulance and fire truck going up there. And just to warn people again on that intersection, even though we've got a light there now, still have to be careful and pay attention.
Yeah, that would go good.
All right, we're moving right along. Actually, all the way to payables.
Nope,
Nope, I'm sorry.
tax acquired
Tax
property
acquired
sale.
property sale, I'm sorry.
Stan asked us to describe the sale of the tax acquired property that we have, and Nikki will kind of walk us through that and tell us where we are.
Okay, so we put 707 Acquire Hill Road, which we tax acquired in 2020, up for sale for unpaid taxes from 2018 to present. The unpaid taxes were about $12,000 total in those years. After working for that whole time with the heirs, trying to see if they wanted to make a payment arrangement or anything. Nobody came forward wanting to do that, and so it was in the best interest of the town to sell the property. So we did follow state law, which has changed, which means we have to put it out to a real estate agent. They have to come up with comparables and everything else, and then it has to go on the market. The comparable she came up to was 50,000 because the house was uninhabitable. You can't live in it. And it's 2.5 acres of land. So we received 20 offers, ranging in the amount from $30,000 to $75,000. We went with the highest one. They had to show proof of funds within 3 days. He was unable to do that. So we had to go down to the next one, who was $70,000. And it is now owned by Kenobi LLC. They took it, we had the closing on Friday of last week for it. So all in all, we sold it for the $70,000. The expenses for the town were a little over $22,000, so the heirs will be getting a check in the amount of about $47,500. That's how the law is written now. Any excess we have after we pay our fees goes to the heirs or goes to the previous property owner who owned it when we tax acquired it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on it?
You don't happen to know who the principal is of this LLC?
Scott DeRepo? So that's where we ended up with that one.
Thank you, Matt
You're welcome.
and Nikki. That was nice to get that behind us.
What's nice with that law, there used to be communities that would keep the whole thing. And, just, to me anyway, it just didn't seem that that was fair. That, you get your own expenses out of it, and then the family should get whatever else is left. So they get a nice chunk of change.
Yep.
All right, on to payables then, page 62.
I make a motion that we pay our bills for the fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $1,066,221.56.
Second.
Thank you.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tetman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marion Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Albee.
Yes.
With a vote 5-0, you have approved the payables in the amount of $1,066,221.56.
Great, we're on to any other business.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I've got one. Thompson Lake. The town of Oxford owns the dam, they control it. We brought it up before that years ago, we used to have a committee from the 4 towns that run it that worked on the dam, trying to figure out what to do with it and do repairs and whatever. And for whatever reason, the town of Oxford stopped doing that. The level was extremely high about a week or 10 days ago. And somebody from Thompson Lake Environmental Association sent out a note to our board members. He had a couple of pictures. There are 3 gates that control that dam. There's an east, a west, and a center gate. The center gate, they were supposed to have a fish screen, so when they opened the gate, the fish didn't go bye-bye. And through whatever, with the design flaw, whatever happened, they didn't have that gate in there. And one of the gates, there was debris just blocking it, so there wasn't much water flow going through that gate. They finally opened the center gate to get the water level down. The water level was within 5 inches of the top of the dam. From what we've been told, if the water goes over the dam, it's gonna breach the dam. And there's not gonna be much of a lake left. Something like that's gonna affect all the property values around the lake. At one point, Nikki had figured out that we were getting $1.1 million or $1.2 million in property taxes in the town of Poland. And if those properties go down, if the taxes go down 10%, it's a large amount of money that we'd be getting. And I'd like to ask if, again, and what happened is that IFW finally stepped in and told the town of Oxford, this is my understanding from people who have been involved with this, that if the town didn't put in that screen in the center gate, that they were gonna stop stocking the lake with fish. And the town of Oxford has therefore gone ahead to get a screen and put it in. There's a contract that somewhere in the next 10 days, because when I got that email, they said it was within 2 weeks. So somewhere in the next 10 days or so, they should have a screen in that center gate. It shouldn't come down to the IFW coming in and telling them that this is what you have to do. One time, they had a gentleman there who was really good about saying, oh, look, there's gonna be 2 inches of rain coming up here later this week. I'm gonna start letting water out to compensate for that. For every inch of rain, the lake goes up 3 inches with all the runoff that comes in. And so Craig would go ahead and do that, and he was really good about controlling it. And now, for whatever reason, this gentleman's retired. They don't pay as much attention to it. And I guess I'd ask Matt if you could get in touch with the other 2 towns. I had a conversation with Hal Ferguson today from Otisfield about something else. And he really wants to see this committee getting back together, doing something, not necessarily telling Oxford what to do because they own the dam, but just to work together for the protection of all 4 towns to keep the lake, the way it should be, watching the water level. See if the 3 of you from the 3 different towns can try again. I know you've tried before to go to Oxford and, say, hey, guys, let's be reasonable here. Anyway, that's
I
what
think that'd be a project that would be better undertaken by a select board member to a select board member. I think that's gonna have more resonance with these different towns.
Okay.
And I just don't, because the guy in Oxford has gotta react to what the board is telling him to do. I think you've gotta convince the board to change their mind. That's, I think, the way to win on that one.
They have an election coming up. I think I've seen all kinds of signs. Their election date would be the same as ours, June 10th?
Who's?
Oxford.
It depends. There's no state election, it depends on whether they run it with the state election or not.
Because I know I've seen a lot of signs driving through Oxford for Sharon Jackson and a couple of other people.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know when that is. Probably sometime next month. Okay.
Who ultimately is in control of that dam?
Who's in control of the dam?
Yes, who has the decision making?
Town of Oxford owns it.
Town of Oxford.
So it is select
It's
board
select
that
board.
would make decisions on that, or like,
I'm sorry?
so it would be the select board that would make decisions on it, or their public works department, or
Well, the
like who's
select board
monitoring it and?
can direct the town manager to do whatever.
Okay.
But some of the members, for whatever reason, have not wanted to do anything with the other communities, like they didn't want to give up any type of control, but yet they would ask us, we give them $5,000 a year, I believe. I think that's what all the communities chip in, so that they're trying to build up some type of a fund, for repairs on the dam. But they don't want to relinquish any type of control or let anybody else have any say as to what they're gonna do to spend our money.
Oh, wait, so we're paying them $5,000 to help them in their town for anything?
maintaining the dam.
So where's that money going?
Well, it is going to repairs, but they're making total decisions of what should be done. And some of the work that they did on a dam repair 4 or 5 years ago,
Mhm.
I think something like that, it turned out that some of the decisions weren't the best decisions. One of the things is this fish clean.
Right.
It was very poorly designed. The one that they originally had, and I don't know what they're putting in now, you needed a crane to lift it out of there. And it's gotta be, you know, taken care of, you gotta get a diver in there, or however they would clean it. And they just weren't doing this, and like I said, we're paying, they're getting 15 grand from 3 communities, plus supposedly their own 5 or whatever else they're putting in. And it doesn't seem as though they're doing the job to really maintain it.
Is that a voluntary?
It's voluntary contribution. It's not, there's no mandate.
Right.
But it,
You know, and we've had a long history of it. I attended meetings over in Oxford School with the other communities and Oxford Select Board. And, you know, I think Stan characterized it right, that they want to maintain, you know, that full control of it, which, okay. But I think the thing that I'm going to suggest that maybe we need to ask for is a report from the town of Oxford on a yearly basis to what are you doing, what documents do you have of the status of the dam, what repair and what monies have you spent this year. So in other words, give us a financial accounting of what you've done and what the account is. When I was there at that meeting, and this is a few years ago now, you know, they said, oh, okay, we've got this many tens of thousands of dollars in the account to do. We don't have enough to rebuild the thing, we're not gonna do that, but we're gonna do X, Y, Z. So they, you know, they did some repairs and whatever, but I think it may be appropriate for us to ask for some
We've been
information
getting one.
back. Have we?
Yeah, we'll get it probably late this summer,
Okay,
and he'll give us the financial breakdown.
okay, I just,
And the highlights of what he's been doing.
great, that would, if we're getting that, that's wonderful, and when we get it, I guess let the board know here.
now, one of the things that, when I was talking with Hal Ferguson today, he did say that he has seen trees, and I'm not sure where, because he's in Otisfield, trees that have fallen into the lake because of soil erosion, because the lake was so high. And, you know, and I see that around, you know, my area a little bit, and the little bit that I do get out and go around the lake when I go for a boat ride with somebody.
I mean, certainly, we've had an extremely wet spring thus far, and, you know, every lake that I have been on, and I've probably been on 7 or 8 different lakes so far, fishing of all, the water's been way above the normal levels, what I would classify for the lake. And,
Well, and some lakes can't be controlled. They don't,
Right.
they don't have a dam to control it.
that's,
Trip, Ring, no, Ring does have a dam there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that actually controls the water level. I don't think there's a gate or anything there that does it. But Trip Lake, there's no
right.
gate or anything there
They're,
that control
they're
that.
dependent, they're dependent on beavers.
So Poland, Oxford, and what is the other town?
Casco.
Oxford, Otisfield, Casco.
Casco. So does it sound as though it would be appropriate to get the boards together to chat about this again? Or just maybe invite some folks here to talk with us, or how should we proceed?
Well, I think until Oxford has their election, I don't think it pays to do anything, because I have no idea how many of these people are running again. I don't know how many people are running, I don't know how many seats they've got available.
Right.
I've seen at least 3 different names on signs. And I can find out a little bit about Casco.
Their town meeting, annual town meeting is June 7th, which is a Saturday, and then their election for positions is Tuesday, June 10th.
Those same days, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So are you saying the public is aware of this, or is this something one person brought this attention to you? Does the public know, is there
The
concern
people on the lake know about it.
Okay, so
I
have
don't
they,
know how many other people, IFW knows about it.
have they come forward at all, or that you know of, or you're just kind of being kind of a mouthpiece for them right now?
Well, as far, yeah, I mean, just because I live on the lake, I'm involved with the association, and what I'm saying isn't anything from the association. But the association doesn't really want to get involved because that gets into a political thing, and our charge is to just help maintain the lake. I mean, we did a lake survey, we've got 319 government grants coming in to do work around the lakes, around the lake for erosion and
Yeah.
runoff and that type of thing. So the association's in a precarious position as far as trying to do something, because they don't want to make enemies of the people in Oxford or anybody else.
Well, if this is an environmental thing, I think it would be important for the fishery, for the lake itself.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would be political, but
So. Okay. Well, I
I'm
can
just
try to-
saying, the voice of the people should step up and, you know.
I'll try to get in touch with somebody in Casco and see what's involved with that. Okay. That was it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything other than I'll talk about the calendar type stuff, so. Marion?
Yeah, the only thing I was gonna mention, just a reminder to everybody, tomorrow evening is the public hearing for the cost sharing formula, starting at 5:30, followed by the district meeting to review the RSU 16 budget.
And that's at the Poland Regional High School auditorium.
Yep.
I was gonna say the same thing.
So get there at 5:30 if you wanna be part of the public hearing for the cost sharing formula, which is a separate referendum question. And then the district meeting, I think, according to the email that went out today, if you're on the mailing list, starts at 6:15.
That's correct.
And that was gonna be
Sorry, you
my
were probably gonna mention
I was,
announcement.
so I got nothing.
Nothing from.
That was gonna be my announcement, so.
that. Oh.
All right,
I
Marion,
just wanted to
today
say
we're
that
out of all
it's-
our sales.
You know, I do hope that people attend tomorrow night for the budget portion and the public hearing for the cost sharing to understand it more. And I certainly individually want to suggest that the people of the town of Poland support the cost sharing formula changes. I think it's a good thing to get the three towns speaking one voice. And if nothing else, we can have a motion to adjourn.
I say we make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
John DeSantis.
Yes.
Stan Tedman.
Yes.
Steve Robinson.
Yes.
Marion Hawks.
Yes.
Lisa Alpe.
Yes.
I was gonna say Matt Gerst, I didn't mind, I'm just reading out things on the vote boxes
keep
earlier,
going.
but
Keep
you
going, right, Nikki Brett.
For a split second, I thought of saying no, just to be funny, see what people would say.